What if she's also going silent? Imagine this. You've pulled back, holding the line, committed to the process. No messages, no calls. You're staying calm, trying to rebuild your focus. But then something unsettles you. She's mirroring. Your silence, the quiet becomes more than absence. It turns into a growing tension. At first, it's just a small discomfort, something you brush off. But then it lingers, it deepens. You start to question everything. Is this working? Has she forgotten me? Is she doing this to get a reaction, or has she moved on completely? The uncertainty gnaws at you. This is the pressure point where most people fold. They break the silence out of fear, not clarity. The silence feels like a trap, like you're losing ground. But here's the truth. Reaching out now isn't taking control. It's surrendering it. Her silence may not be random. It could be a move designed to tilt the balance, to provoke a reaction, to assert dominance without saying a word. But the Stoics understood something critical. Silence, discomfort, even uncertainty, these are not enemies. They are opportunities. They test your discipline. They reveal your true level of control. At Erosos, we take these tests and turn them into growth. Today, we're addressing one of the hardest emotional challenges people face when both sides go quiet. This is not a game. It's a psychological standoff. But your job isn't to win. It's to master yourself. The Stoics taught that your power lies within your own mind. That truth has never been more relevant. Instead of spiraling over her behavior, bring the focus back to yourself. You control your thoughts. You control your emotions. You choose how to respond. This is the moment to get stronger, not weaker. To use the silence not as a signal of loss, but as a space for clarity and strength. No contact is not about who reaches out first. It is about who can remain steady in their center. But let's take it further. When viewed through the lens of psychological strategy, the person who remains composed, less reactive, and harder to predict always holds the advantage. If she's silent, it might seem like a power play, but it also reveals something valuable. It shows her intention, her strategy. And once you see that, the game changes. Because the truth is, no contact is not really about her. It is about you. Stepping fully into control of your story, your emotions, and your direction. Before we move forward, make a choice right now. Type in the comments, I choose power over reaction. Let that be your anchor. This isn't about proving anything to her. It's about staying aligned with who you want to become. When you stay grounded and refuse to be pulled into someone else's frame, you stop chasing. You start leading. If you're serious about owning this process, tap the like button. It lets the world know that you're done being reactive. You're here to evolve. So what do you actually do when she's also going silent? More importantly, how do you respond in a way that builds strength, not anxiety? Stick around. Because by the end of this, you'll not only understand what's happening beneath the surface, you'll also have the mindset to shift the balance, take back control, and rise into a version of yourself that does not chase, fear, or beg. You become still. You become focused. You become magnetic. No contact is not just a tactic. It is a discipline. At its core, it is about turning your attention inward, regaining composure, and practicing true emotional autonomy. Most people misunderstand it. They think no contact is about giving the other person time to miss them. But that misses the point. No contact is about giving yourself space to regain your own power. The Stoics had a term, apatheia. It meant a state of being undisturbed, not through apathy, but through mastery. You do not control what someone else says, does, or feels, but you can control your own mind. You can take charge of your responses, your direction, and your peace. When this truth becomes real for you, the silence no longer feels like punishment. It becomes a mirror. It shows you where you're still clinging, where you're still dependent on outcomes beyond your reach. That's why this isn't her test, it's yours. Ask yourself, why does the silence hurt? Why does the lack of response make you uneasy? It's not the silence itself, it's the attachment beneath it. When your identity leans on someone else's presence or approval, you hand over your emotional state. No contact forces you to confront that and choose something stronger. You choose yourself. Detachment, it doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop depending on someone else to feel whole. It means you stay centered, even when others pull away. Your value does not fade just because someone isn't reaching out. This is what true Stoic strength looks like. Maintaining your inner calm even when the world outside feels uncertain. But let's go deeper. Psychologically, no contact breaks the cycle of expectation. If she's used to you being the one who always reaches out, always initiates, your silence rewrites that pattern. It interrupts the script. And that disruption doesn't just create distance, it creates presence. It creates impact. The purpose of your silence is not to manipulate, it's to liberate. It's a decision to choose self-respect over constant pursuit. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you felt peace without needing someone else to confirm your worth? That feeling is the real goal. This isn't about trying to win someone back. It's about reconnecting with who you are when you no longer rely on external validation. Take a moment and sit with this. If this message speaks to you, drop a comment below with the phrase, "Silence is my strength." That's your declaration. Your reminder that detachment is not weakness. It is power grounded in self-awareness. And if this is helping you shift your mindset, tap the like button. It's not just for the algorithm. It's a signal to yourself that you're choosing mastery. No contact is not a punishment. It is a gift of space, of clarity, and of deeper understanding. And while logic plays a role, no contact reaches into something more primal. It activates the deeper psychological forces that govern our behavior. Think about this. When something is always there, it becomes easy to overlook. But when it disappears, it draws attention. That's the power of scarcity. When you pull back, your energy, your time, your attention, you create a space, one that she will feel, not immediately, but eventually. Most people don't realize what they value until it's no longer in front of them. But this is not just about scarcity. It's also about unpredictability. People crave routine. They rely on patterns. If she expects you to reach out first, your silence interrupts that rhythm. It introduces uncertainty. And uncertainty creates tension. It makes her ask questions. Is he moving on? Has something changed? And then there's mystery. The less you say, the more others want to know. When you stop oversharing, stop explaining, and simply hold your ground, you create curiosity. And curiosity is magnetic. When you hold your silence and resist the impulse to explain, justify, or seek closure, you do something powerful. You invite mystery. And mystery, as psychology shows us, draws people in. The mind cannot stand empty space. Silence acts as a blank canvas, and the other person is left to paint their own thoughts across it. They wonder, they guess, they feel, But this only works if your silence is grounded in strength, not desperation. If you're quietly obsessing, watching your phone, counting days and hoping she makes the first move, you've already surrendered. Your power, the essence of true detachment, is not waiting. It's not hoping. It's knowing that your worth is not determined by whether or not someone reaches out. So how do you make this shift? You stop focusing on her. You bring the attention back to your own path. Use the silence to grow, to sharpen your mind, to stabilize your emotions, and to rise as the most solid version of yourself. When your silence comes from confidence, not fear, it speaks volumes without a single word. Take a moment to reflect. Are you prepared to step fully into this power? If the answer is yes, drop a comment below with the phrase, "I am the master of my silence." This is your reminder that you're not here to chase. You're here to lead. And if this message is aligning with your truth, hit that like button to affirm your commitment to inner growth. No contact is not a weapon, it is a space that allows you to rediscover clarity, purpose, and strength. So let's explore something often misunderstood. Why might she also be silent? We tend to assume the worst, that she doesn't care, or that she's already moved on. But that silence might hold more than one meaning. First, she could be mirroring you. This is a natural psychological response. When one person withdraws, the other often follows. She might not be trying to win. She might just be reflecting your distance, or preserving her own energy. Second, her silence could be about healing. She might need time to think, to recover, to evaluate what she wants. No contact is not only a strategy people use to influence others. It can be a tool for self-reflection. In this case, it's not about you at all. It's about her journey and what she needs right now. But there's another layer. Her silence could be intentional, a test. She may be watching, waiting, trying to see how you'll respond. Will you reach out first? Will you stay centered? These moments reveal everything. They expose where your confidence really lies. Consider this, too. Maybe she felt she was losing control. If the dynamic was shifting and you were detaching, no contact might be her way of regaining balance. It's not always about punishment. Sometimes it's about reclaiming dignity and space. And here's what matters most. She may be waiting to see who you become during this time apart. That's the real test. Are you changing, growing, strengthening? Or are you collapsing into insecurity and need? This is your opportunity to rise. Not for her, for yourself. In the stillness of no contact, something powerful happens. People begin to reflect on who they were in the relationship, on who they are without it. And if you've used this time to grow, to rebuild your focus and become more grounded, that energy radiates outward. Even in silence, your evolution can be felt. So what do you do with that awareness? You let her silence belong to her. You do not overanalyze. You do not try to decode every moment of distance. Instead, you turn inward. You remind yourself that her behavior is outside your reach. Your attention belongs on what you can control, your mindset, your habits, your path forward. Now, ask yourself this: who are you becoming right now? Are you someone who waits or someone who builds? If you're choosing growth, comment below with the phrase, "I thrive in my silence." Let that be a mark of transformation, not survival. And if this message is aligning with you, tap that like button as a commitment to mastering your own emotions and behaviors. Because here's the truth. Her silence doesn't define you. It reveals you. This is your mirror. This is your moment now. Here's where most people stumble. Faced with uncertainty, they reach out. They break no contact. They send that message or try to reopen the conversation. From confidence, but from anxiety, they chase. And in doing so, they hand over their power. Let's be clear. When you chase, you send a message without saying a word. You're telling her that her silence controls you, that your emotional state depends on her actions. You lose your narrative. You become reactive. You stop leading and start following. The teachings of Stoicism are simple but powerful. You cannot control others. You can only control yourself. And the moment you surrender that control to someone else's silence, you've already lost your footing. The Stoics had a saying, "He who is brave is free, free to sit with discomfort, free to choose stillness over reaction, free to feel uncertain, and yet remain unmoved." Chasing is not bravery. It's fear in motion. Fear of loss, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. But when you resist that fear, when you hold your center, your energy changes. You say without speaking, "I am whole. I do not need to force or beg." And when you choose not to chase, something interesting happens. The energy shifts. The attention turns inward. You reclaim your narrative. Your silence stops being passive. It becomes intentional. It becomes power. Scarcity and unpredictability are deeply compelling. When you are both, you become magnetic. But here's the crucial point. This is not a game. This is not manipulation. It is the result of living from a deeper truth. When you own the narrative, you stop trying to create a specific outcome. You start living in alignment. That's where real power begins. You're simply living in alignment with your principles. You're choosing to honor your values rather than react to someone else's silence. That choice speaks volumes. It shows self-respect, patience, and inner strength. And here's something that needs to be said clearly. Chasing doesn't bring you closer to the outcome you want. It pushes it further away. Think about it. If she's using no contact to reflect, to test the emotional ground, or to regain her footing, your decision to break the silence too soon only confirms her doubts. It shows her that you're still operating from need, not strength. But when you remain steady, when you stay true to your path without reaching out, you signal something powerful. You show resilience. You show depth. That energy is undeniable. So, ask yourself right now, are you ready to take ownership of your story? If you are, type in the comments, "I control my story." Let that be your statement of intent. Not to chase, not to convince, but to rise above the chaos and stay rooted in your own path. If this is resonating with you, tap that like button as a signal of your decision to lead with emotional mastery. True strength isn't about trying to bend someone else's will. It's about holding your ground when it would be easier to fold. If no contact is a test, then your ability to remain calm, centered, and unshaken is what allows you to pass it. But how do you cultivate that kind of emotional strength? How do you stay grounded when silence feels heavy and uncertain? That's where Stoic philosophy becomes a powerful ally. Let's begin with a foundational truth in Stoicism. Focus only on what is within your control. You cannot control her silence. You cannot control whether she thinks about you, reaches out, or moves on. But you can control how you respond. You can control the thoughts you feed, the choices you make, and the energy you project. That's where your power lives. One essential Stoic practice is negative visualization. The Stoics used it to build resilience. Imagine the worst-case scenario. What if she never comes back? What if this truly is the end? Sit with that reality, not to fuel fear, but to take away its hold. Once you confront it fully, you'll see that you're still standing, you're still breathing, and you can still thrive. This mental exercise frees you. It teaches you to detach from outcomes and find strength in what is. Another powerful tool is journaling. When the silence feels overwhelming, don't go to your phone, go to your mind. Pick up a pen and write. Pour out your emotions, your doubts, your thoughts. This isn't weakness, it's awareness. And over time, you'll start to see patterns. You'll catch the triggers that lead to impulsive behavior. And that insight gives you control. Mindfulness is also essential. The Stoics believed in presence, even in adversity. When you catch yourself overthinking, imagining scenarios, or getting lost in what-ifs, stop, breathe, return to the moment. This is where your power resides, not in the past, not in some imagined future, but in the now. And then there's amor fati, love of fate. This is perhaps the deepest Stoic idea of all. It means embracing everything that comes your way, even the hard moments, as necessary for your growth. If she's choosing silence, if the relationship is in limbo, accept it fully. Don't fight the moment. Let it shape you. Let it strengthen you. So here's the final question. Are you willing to use this time to build yourself from the inside out? Are you ready to become someone who no longer depends on others to feel powerful, someone who thrives in silence, not fears it? Your answer defines the path forward. If that's your path, leave a comment below with the phrase, "I master my emotions." Let this be a reminder that strength isn't inherited. It's developed, refined, and earned through effort. And if this perspective resonates, hit that like button to mark your commitment to growth. No contact is not about her. It's about who you become while the silence lasts. Build real emotional strength, and no one's silence, not hers. Not anyone's will have the power to unbalance you again. So what do you do when she's also silent? You don't react, you respond. But responding strategically doesn't mean crafting a perfect text or posting something just subtle enough to catch her attention. It means acting in alignment with your values, your growth, and your long-term vision. The first strategic move is simple. Do not break the silence impulsively. Your silence is not emptiness. It's a message. It says, I value myself enough to respect this space. If you break it out of fear, anxiety, or longing, you undo that message. You tell her her absence dictates your behavior. That is not strength. That is surrender. Now focus on your presence in the world. Even if she's not watching, live like you are being observed. Level up in every way you can. Train your body, sharpen your mind, deepen your purpose. This isn't about sparking jealousy. It's about pouring energy into the one thing you do control, your life. When you build a full and focused life, you radiate confidence without even trying. Strategic response also means knowing the value of timing. If she reaches out, do not rush to reply. Stay composed. Reflect before responding. Let your answer come from a place of calm assurance, not desperation. And if you decide to reach out after significant time has passed, keep it light. You don't need to explain your silence or unload your emotions. Lead with calm curiosity. A simple message like, "Hey, something reminded me of a conversation we had. Hope you're doing well," says more than emotional paragraphs ever could. This shows emotional maturity. It signals that you've been reflecting, that you still care about meaningful connection, and that you're no longer operating from fear. But above all, detach from what happens next. If she responds with warmth, great. If she doesn't respond at all, let that be okay too. Your worth doesn't depend on any reaction. The Stoics taught that we must act with integrity, regardless of the result. Focus on what's in your control, your intention, your delivery, and your mindset. The rest is not yours to govern. This way of moving also taps into contrast. When everyone else reacts emotionally, your stillness makes you stand out. Your calm becomes a quiet force. In a world full of noise, composure is magnetic. So now, ask yourself, are you ready to lead with intention instead of emotion? If so, comment below with the phrase, "I respond, I don't react." Let that be your reminder. And if this message is helping you reframe your approach, hit the like button to show that you're choosing strategy, self-mastery, and personal evolution. Responding strategically is not about controlling her. It's about mastering yourself. That is where your true power lives. The shift that changes everything is this: stop treating reconnection as the prize. If she returns, let it be a reflection of your growth, not the reason for it. This is where many people falter. They use no contact as a tactic, a calculated pause, hoping she return. But when your every action is rooted in that outcome, you're not free. You're still attached, still seeking, still bound. True detachment means letting go of what happens and focusing entirely on who you're becoming. Stoicism reminds us that our focus must be on what we control, our choices, our discipline, our integrity, not on how others respond. When you stop asking if she'll come back and start asking who you're becoming through all this, everything shifts. The anxiety begins to fade. The doubts lose their grip, because you're no longer measuring your worth by someone else's silence. In that space, your sense of self starts to rebuild. You begin to see your value not as something that depends on her presence, but as something intrinsic, something that has always been there, waiting for you. To claim it, here's the paradox. The more you let go of needing her back, the more attractive you become. Why? Because confidence, peace, and self-sufficiency are magnetic. When someone can see that you're whole on your own, they feel it. So let's push this further. Instead of waiting for her return, treat this silence as a gift. Use it to reflect, to understand what truly worked in the relationship, what didn't, and what you want moving forward. Not just with her, but with anyone. This isn't lowering your standards. It's raising them for yourself. The Stoics taught that obstacles are not in our way. They are the way. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Her silence is not blocking your growth. It's directing it. If you're willing to listen, this moment can teach you more than any conversation ever could. So let me ask you, can you release the need for a specific outcome and commit instead to your own evolution? If your answer is yes, type in the comments, "I let go to grow." Let that be your daily reminder that your worth is defined by who you choose to become, not by who chooses you. And if this speaks to your journey, hit that like button to show your commitment to self-mastery and presence. Reconnection may happen, or it may not, but that's not the measure of success. The real victory is becoming the strongest, most grounded version of yourself. That is something no one can take from you, and now that you've shifted your focus, here's your next move. Don't just survive this. Transform through it. Use this quiet to redefine who you are. The silence may seem like absence, but in truth, it holds power. Every day that you resist the pull to chase, to explain, to be seen, you are building something unshakable. You are training your mind. You are fortifying your spirit. You are becoming magnetic, not because you're trying, but because you've chosen strength over reaction. This is how you win. Quietly, consistently, completely. This is how no contact becomes a source of strength. By shifting your focus from what you've lost to who you are becoming. Begin by stepping away from predictability. People are intrigued by what they cannot fully anticipate or control. When you stop behaving in the ways she expects, when you stop initiating, stop chasing answers, stop explaining, you'll begin to embody presence and self-assurance. This is not about manipulation. It is about becoming someone who is rooted in clarity and no longer needs to defend his choices. Transformation is not a buzzword. It is the daily practice of tending to what you once neglected. Focus on your physical well-being, cultivate interests that excite you. Strengthen your professional path and invest in your relationships with those who uplift you. Every time you choose to grow, you shift your energy. You become someone whose value is self-sustained. That shift speaks louder than any message you could send. Real power shows up in detachment. Detachment does not mean you shut down emotionally. It means you stop seeking external permission to feel whole. The Stoics teach that the less we rely on others for stability, the more unshakable we become. When you release the need for her validation, you reclaim authority over your emotional life. Your silence is no longer reactive. It becomes intentional. You do not have to vanish from the world. Share your progress. Let people see your work, your achievements, your passion. But do it because you are genuinely living, not because you hope someone is watching. Authentic expression creates interest far more than any attempt to provoke a response. And if she eventually reaches out, meet that moment with composure. Show that your growth wasn't temporary or performative. Speak with calm confidence. Let your new presence speak for itself. She recognized the shift not because you tried to impress her, but because you committed to evolving. Now ask yourself, are you ready to turn this quiet into something powerful? If you are, comment below with the words, I turn silence into strength. This is not a pause. It is a progression. If this message aligns with where you are, give this video a like and affirm your commitment to personal growth. Remember, power isn't found in controlling what others do. It's found in mastering what you choose to become. If she is also silent, let her be. Her choices are hers. Your silence is not a strategy to get a response. It is a space where you build resilience. No chasing, no craving, no collapsing under pressure. Let this be clear. No contact is not revenge. It is restoration. It is your opportunity to rebuild what was lost in you, not just what was lost with her. Whether or not she returns is irrelevant to the man you're becoming. Either way, you emerge stronger, clearer, and more in tune with who you are. The Stoics teach us that virtue is the only true good. Whether this leads to a reunion or a final goodbye, what defines you is not the outcome. It is the discipline, the integrity, and the strength you show along the way. So let me ask once more, are you ready to use this silence to rise? If your answer is yes, drop a comment with the phrase, I own my silence. Let that be a declaration, not of waiting, but of growing. If this message brought you clarity, give it a like. Your support helps build a space for others on the same path. Subscribe to Erosos for more guidance on mastering yourself and using every challenge as a stepping stone to power. You are not here to react. You are here to rise. Stay steady, stay clear. Choose strength over noise.